before Andrew Carnegie became a symbol of wealth, before his name was etched into libraries and institutions, before history froze him into a single word, industrialist, he was something far more important. He was afraid. Afraid of hunger. Afraid of irrelevance. Afraid of watching his father fade into a world that no longer needed him. This archive does not begin with success. It begins with disappearance. In the early 1800s, skilled men were becoming obsolete overnight. Machines replaced hands. Speed replaced craftsmanship. And pride became a liability. Andrew Carnegie watched this happen inside his own home. And in that moment, long before steel, long before power, a question began forming inside him. If the world no longer protects the good man, then what kind of man does the world protect? Welcome to the Growth Archive. Today we open one of the most important files ever recorded. This is not the story of money. It is the story of adaptation, control, and psychological endurance. This is the complete archive of Andrew Carnegie. Stay until the end, because the final lesson of his life may change how you define success forever. Andrew Carnegie did not grow up surrounded by ambition. He grew up surrounded by an ending. Dunfermline, Scotland, was once a place where time moved slowly and predictably. The looms clicked. The same hands performed the same motions year after year. Skill was not merely employment, it was identity. A man knew who he was because the world needed what he could do. Andrew's father believed this deeply. He believed that if you mastered a craft, the future would make room for you. And for a long time, that belief was justified. Then the machines arrived. They did not arrive with cruelty. They arrived with efficiency. They did not shout. They did not threaten. They simply worked faster than men ever could. And in doing so, they quietly removed meaning from hands that had once been indispensable. Andrew watched his father change. He watched strength turn into hesitation, certainty turn into doubt, authority turn into silence. This is important because Andrew did not witness failure. He witnessed displacement. His father had done everything right according to the old rules, and the old rules had vanished. That realization carved itself deeply into Andrew's mind. From that moment on, he understood something most people never articulate. The world does not punish effort. It replaces it. When the family emigrated to America, the journey was not hopeful. It was urgent. They were not chasing prosperity, they were escaping irrelevance. The old world had no space left for them, and the new world offered no guarantees. America greeted Andrew Carnegie without ceremony. At 12 years old, he entered factory work. The air was thick with heat and noise. The work was repetitive. The hours were long. But what affected Andrew most was not exhaustion, it was stagnation. Nothing led anywhere. No matter how hard you worked, the work did not change. And the men around him knew it. You could see it in their posture, in their eyes, in the way time seemed to pass differently for them. Andrew noticed something else. The men who worked the hardest were rarely the ones who decided anything. The men who decided everything rarely touched the machines. Power lived elsewhere. And this realization separated him from the others. While many learned endurance, Andrew learned analysis. He began studying the factory like a map. Who controlled schedules? Who spoke to owners? Who never seemed afraid of losing their position? And slowly, deliberately, Andrew Carnegie formed the belief that would guide every decision he ever made. Hard work keeps you alive. Position decides whether you rise. This chapter is not about poverty. It is about awakening. The telegraph office was the first place Andrew Carnegie felt ahead of the world instead of behind it. Messages arrived constantly. Some were routine. Others carried urgency so sharp you could feel it before reading a word. Andrew learned quickly that not all information was equal. Some messages moved things. Others merely reported them. This distinction fascinated him. He noticed timing. Which messages arrived late at night? Which demanded immediate replies? Which names appeared again and again, always followed by action? Slowly, Andrew learned that the future often announces itself quietly, through information, long before outcomes become visible. While others focused on speed and accuracy, Andrew focused on meaning. He began to understand that power was not loud. It was coordinated. It did not rush. It anticipated. and the people who possessed it rarely explained themselves. Thomas A. Scott noticed this. Scott did not see a messenger boy. He saw someone who reduced uncertainty. Someone who understood what mattered before being told. Someone who made complex systems feel manageable. And Andrew learned something vital. Those in power value people who think ahead of instruction. Scott's mentorship was not formal. It was practical. Andrew watched how decisions were made, who influenced them, how authority flowed without ever being announced. At night, Andrew read obsessively. History showed him that empires rose not through effort alone, but through alignment with necessity. Economics taught him that inevitability always wins eventually. Biography taught him that greatness followed patterns. When Andrew invested his first small sums, he did so without excitement. He chose industries civilization could not abandon: transportation, materials, infrastructure. He wasn't gambling. He was anchoring himself to inevitability. If this chapter is reshaping how you think about opportunity and power, this is why the Growth Archive exists. These stories are preserved in full so the patterns aren't lost. If you value that depth, remain connected to the archive. By the end of this chapter of his life, Andrew Carnegie was no longer reacting to circumstances. He was positioning himself inside the current of history. Steel was not Andrew Carnegie's passion. It was his instrument. He saw what others ignored. Cities expanding upward. Railroads stretching outward. Nations connecting inward. All of it required structure. And structure required steel. Carnegie understood something timeless. The most powerful industries are the ones society cannot function without. But where others saw opportunity, Carnegie saw vulnerability. Dependence on suppliers. On transport. On negotiation. Each dependency was a weakness. So he removed them. He acquired mines. Controlled railroads. Built mills. Managed distribution. Every layer of control reduced uncertainty. Every reduction in uncertainty increased power. This created predictability. And predictability is the rarest commodity in business. Carnegie did not compete aggressively, he outlasted. His costs were lower. His margins were safer. His system absorbed shocks that destroyed others. He hired exceptional people and paid them well, but loyalty was not emotional. It was structural. Leaving the system meant losing advantages that existed nowhere else. As the system grew, so did its distance from humanity. Efficiency became virtue. Resistance became waste. Carnegie did not see himself as cruel. He saw himself as necessary. Progress in his mind justified discomfort. This is where scale changes people. The larger the system, the harder it becomes to see individuals. And yet the system worked astonishingly well. The unresolved question was not whether it succeeded, but whether such success could exist without cost. The Homestead strike was not a sudden eruption. It was pressure finally breaking through the surface. Workers feared replacement. Management feared instability. Both believed survival depended on victory. Fear met fear. Violence followed. Carnegie was not present, but absence did not absolve him. His system had created the conditions. His philosophy had defined acceptable loss. When blood was spilled, it exposed a truth Carnegie could not ignore. Systems magnify intent and consequences. For the first time, Carnegie did not respond with certainty. He responded with withdrawal. Silence replaced confidence. Reflection replaced expansion. This was not guilt in the moral sense. It was reckoning. He began to understand that control could not erase responsibility. That dominance did not guarantee peace. That winning externally did not prevent fracture internally. This chapter matters because it represents a pivot point. Many powerful figures double down here. They harden. They deny. They suppress. Carnegie paused. And in that pause, something began to change. Andrew Carnegie's final transformation did not involve accumulation. It involved resolution. He had mastered control. He had mastered systems. Now he faced a question that power could not answer. What survives me? His answer was not monuments or praise. It was access, knowledge. Opportunity multiplied quietly across generations. Libraries were not gifts. They were engines. Education produced stability. Stability protected progress. And progress, properly guided, endured. Carnegie rejected endless inheritance. Wealth in his view was stewardship, temporary custody, not a permanent entitlement. He dismantled his fortune deliberately, methodically, treating legacy as his final system. And in doing so, he arrived at his last insight. The highest form of success is becoming unnecessary. If you value stories that explore power, consequence, and long-term thinking at this depth, continue exploring the Growth Archive. These archives are built for those willing to stay with the full story. Andrew Carnegie exited history not as a man who simply accumulated wealth, but as one who converted power into permanence. Andrew Carnegie was not born great. He was forged by irrelevance, shaped by systems, and tempered by consequence. If you listen to this entire archive, you are no longer a spectator. You are an archivist. This channel exists to preserve the blueprints of greatness before they are diluted into quotes and cliches. This archive gave you value. Strengthen it by subscribing. Share it with someone building something meaningful. Continue your exploration through the archive. This file is now closed, but the next one is already waiting.